A farmer once visited me and wandered through this grocery row garden system. And he said, "You don't spray anything, do you?" And I laughed. I said, "No, I don't spray anything." And he said, "What do you do when you have pests? What do you do to control pests? I mean, let's say something is just eating a plant and it looks like it's going to kill it. What do you do?" And I told him, I let it die. Welcome back. Right now I'm standing in my grocery row garden system, which is a mixed polyculture. It's rather an imitation of a forest edge with long-term perennials and berries and fruits and roots and short-term annuals all mixed together into a great big, what looks like a mess, but there is some order to it. I don't spray anything in these gardens. If there is a pest and it starts chewing something up and I don't just pick it off by hand, it just gets to keep doing what it's doing. Every once in a while I'll throw some caterpillars to the chickens. That's about it. I don't use natural insect sprays. I don't buy neem oil. I don't get spinosad. We always have pests in the garden. And this is a good thing, because if you don't have pests, you don't have the predators that eat pests, because the predators will not stick around unless there is some food. So you have to have some pests. That means when you see a little bit of damage, a little bit of aphids, you see some chew holes, you see the occasional caterpillar, and you immediately go and blast it. What you're doing is you're getting rid of the food that is going to attract the predators. So when I see holes in my sweet potato leaves, I am not worried. They always get some holes in their leaves. Some of the vines get shredded, some of the vines get mostly left alone, but they continue running and they get to the end of the year and we get sweet potatoes. I'm not worried about losing some leaves here and there and having some holes in the leaves, because that means there is something there for the predators to feed on. You have to have the pests to have the predators. You don't want a completely sterile garden, just like you don't want to take antibiotics and kill everything in your intestinal tract. You need a living ecosystem to balance things out. That means you have to have the pests and the predators and all kinds of insects and microlife that you might not even think are important. They're all part of the web that keeps pest problems from becoming a massive plague. One of the ways we maintain this web of life is to have a whole bunch of different plants together. This is what is called a polyculture. If you have a bunch of the same thing, it's like you just rolled out a tablecloth and whatever pest likes to eat that thing is going to come in and devour it. So say you have a patch of sweet corn all together. Corn earworms come in. They go chewing their way through the whole set because they are very happy to eat corn. But if your corn was mixed up with a bunch of other things, as in the traditional Native American Three Sisters method, which often had even more plants than just the three, there is less of an issue of this being a major attractant to pests. So in a system like this, where we have a polyculture, there is space for the spiders to live, for wasps to live, for praying mantises, for ladybugs, for all kinds of good guys that are going to do our pest control for us, and they can overwinter in here through the winter when the frosts come, because there's lots of twigs, there's lots of grass, there's lots of thatch, there's lots of mulch on the ground. It is a polyculture that makes for a happy ecosystem that keeps the pests balanced, not completely gone, but balanced and under control. Also, don't fall in love with one particular variety of a particular crop, because you may not find that that thing likes your garden. So by planting a wide variety and just letting nature sort it out, you can figure out what actually likes to be in your garden. So the easiest way to do this is to say, oh, I want to grow lettuce, so I'm going to go buy 10 different types of lettuce packets, and I'm going to take those seeds and I'm going to plant them, and I'm going to make little notations as to where I planted them so I know which variety is which and which one does the best in my climate, because those genetics are from all over the place. You don't necessarily know where they were bred or where they came from. If you find a variety that does really well in your garden, plant it again. If you want to go to the next stage of this, do landrace gardening, like Joseph Lofthouse talks about in his book, Landrace Gardening. And in that case, what you're going to do is say you plant those 10 varieties of lettuces, but you let them all interbreed and you save the seeds for a few generations, and maybe you add 10 or 20 more varieties of lettuces. Then you select the ones that really thrive with very little care and you plant them again and again and again. My son Ezekiel has been doing that with his watermelons. I'm sitting here next to 3 watermelons. There's one there, here, and here, and there's watermelons spread all over this grocery row garden right now. These watermelons are landrace watermelons because he mixed about 25 different varieties of watermelons and let them interbreed for multiple years. Now we consistently get good watermelons. The genetics have resorted and have adapted themselves to the way we garden in our gardens, and these are just about bomb-proof watermelons now here in Lower Alabama in the grocery row garden, running at probably about 75% sunlight during the day and growing just sprawling beneath our trees. This is the way they've been adapted, and the ones that have survived and tasted good, we've saved seeds from and plant again and again year after year. And that vigor is better than many of the original varieties we started with, of which some of them never even gave us a single watermelon, and now we get tons of them. Not literal tons, but last year we got 740 pounds out of here, and that's a lot of watermelon. Sometimes the answer may not be to grow watermelon or to grow lettuces, but to grow crops that you aren't even familiar with. Some climates are just not suited to some crops at all. You might not even find a variety of that crop that really likes your climate. What we've done over the years is we've tested things from climates that are similar to ours. If you grow plants that like your climate, it makes a huge difference. Instead of trying to force plants in your climate that aren't very happy, plant the plants that like your climate. So things like these Chinese yams, they do well here. There's about 5 or 6 different varieties of yams that we've tested that like it here, and then one that we tested that doesn't like it here. These are true yams, Dioscorea species, which most people have never heard of. But that joy of discovering new plants that you can eat is part of the fun as well. So, hey, maybe white potatoes don't do well in your area. Maybe there's some starchy sweet potato from the tropics, or taro, or true yams that you could grow instead. So don't get too hung up. Just try something different. Maybe something that the pests won't go after, because a plant that's under stress will get chewed up by the pests. So just as a quick overview, don't be afraid to let things die. Maybe that's telling you that that plant's not suited to your climate. Don't plant things all by themselves. Make polycultures. Make space. Don't blast things as soon as you see them. Probably a few weeks afterwards, there's going to be a predator that shows up and takes care of the issue. And if it doesn't, maybe that thing's not supposed to be there. And try to plant the plants and save the seeds that do well in your climate. Now, there may be other pests like deer or groundhogs or bear or behemoths, that sort of thing that might be a problem for you. And you may have to figure that out with, I don't know, fences, cannons, things like that. But as an overarching idea of what you can do to make pest and disease issues less, this is really the way we do it. It's not that hard. If you want to learn more about gardening and join our new community, check out the link below, the Survival Gardener on School. It is an awesome community already, and we already have up my food forest course and some other exclusives. It's well worth the price of admission, and I hope to see you over there where we're talking directly every day. Catch you next time, and until then, may your thumbs always be green. There's a bug that flew up my nose. When you're going through the seed catalog and you see this incredible, look at that, it's a speckled tomato. I really want to grow that such and such speckled tomato. It may not be happy. The flies are chewing my eyes. Too much ecosystem.